What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue to give you our very early projected records for each team in the Power 5. Looking at the Big 12 now. We did a video for Texas and Oklahoma. We're going to show you the rest of those records here in this video. And keep in mind, this is not a prediction for me. I'm still a few weeks away from starting my official predictions. It's simply a projection based off of kind of the general consensus for each team, what everyone's kind of thinking about all these teams, and then putting that up against the schedule. So it's really, this really kind of goes along with our schedule previews. That's why we combine those videos for those individual teams. So it's really more about what the team's records could be against that schedule, and really seeing, you know, maybe some teams that aren't expected to be all that good, but their schedule is going to help them out and they're going to wind up with a better record, or vice versa. So we look at the projections from last year. Really, two teams missed really pretty badly on. The rest were pretty accurate, at least within a couple of games. Oklahoma was exactly 10-2. Iowa State, as disappointing as their season was, they were only 2 games under the projection. They were 7-5, 9-3 was the projection. Texas and Oklahoma State, that's where it was way off. So Texas, much under their expectation. Oklahoma State, they exceeded their expectations by 4 games. How about that? Oklahoma State from 7-5 to 11-1. You can maybe say that they were the biggest surprise team of college football last year. And Texas, of course, one of the biggest disappointments. And then TCU, they were also a disappointment. They were just 5-7, 2 games under their projection. The rest of the Big 12 looked like this. West Virginia, 1 game under the projection. Kansas State was right on the projection. Also Baylor, another team. So there are really 3 teams in the Big 12 that were way off. Baylor wound up going 10-2, which was 5 games above their projection. So, I mean, I don't think anyone really saw Baylor and Oklahoma State coming. If you go back to the preseason, it was all about Oklahoma and Iowa State, at least for me. And then some people wanted to throw Texas in there. I don't think I was ever really on board with Texas. I thought they'd be better than they were. But again, Baylor and Oklahoma State, the big surprises. Will we see some surprises this year? Potentially. I think this conference is wide open, and so it wouldn't shock me. Texas Tech and Kansas were exactly what their projection said they would be last season. So now let's look ahead to 2022. Kansas projected to go 3-9, 1-8 in the conference. And if you've missed the other videos, don't really look at the conference record all that much. We do the projections based off of the overall 12-game schedule. I just kind of make the conference records match what would work out for the overall records, and make the wins and losses even with those conference records. So the projection is based off of all 12 games, not the conference schedules, and so it might seem a little funky at times. Kansas there at 3-9 though, and that's the number we're focusing on. Iowa State 5-7, a big drop off for them. Perhaps I have them, or I was a little bit lower on this team than some people. I haven't really found a lot about Iowa State. I don't know what everyone's thinking about this team. I personally think that this is a team that is going to be way down this year when I look at the roster and everything that they lost. So I wasn't putting them in that category with Kansas, but I was putting them not in the category with the Texas and Oklahoma and Baylor and Iowa State, or excuse me, Oklahoma State. And so their projection did come out to be 5-7, and then ahead of them, Texas Tech, they came out to be 6-6, would maybe be 4-5 in the conference. But a bowl game for Texas Tech. Kansas State also at 6-6. I think we had a 3-way tie actually right here. Kansas State, Texas Tech, both 6-6. The other team is West Virginia. So all 3 of these teams, all projected to get to a bowl game, go 6-6, 4-5 in the conference. If this happened, that would mean 8 of the 10 teams would make it to a bowl game. Probably not going to happen. You'll probably have 3 teams that don't make it to a bowl. So West Virginia, Kansas State, Texas Tech, or maybe someone from the top 5. One of those teams is probably going to underperform. They're going to lose some close games, and they probably won't make it to a bowl game. But who knows? Maybe we do see 8 of the 10 teams get to a bowl game and get to 6-6 this year. Moving on to the top 5, TCU projected to go 7-5, 5-4 in the conference. And then we had a tie above them with Texas coming in at 8-4, 6-3 in the conference. And then just ahead of them, Oklahoma State, or same record here, 8-4, 6-3 in the conference. Again, we're really looking at that overall record. But with Texas, I mean, I think most people would say they're not going to beat Alabama. So that 6-3 and 8-4 would probably match up pretty well. And it may be that I think there was one of these teams where I had to change. It might have been Texas, where I actually had them projected at 7-5, but they were really close to 8-4. And we had to get another win in here for the records to match up. So I may have bumped Texas up. I can't remember for sure. I think they might have been 7-5 in that video that I did. Of course, those videos for the individual teams, I started doing those like back in January. We've just reposted them here to the new college football channel. And obviously a lot of things have changed since I recorded those videos. So Oklahoma up here also at 6-3, 8-4 overall, as we have a four-way tie. A four-way tie in the Big 12. Baylor there also at 8-4. They would come out to about 6-3 in the conference. If they win their non-conference games, then that would maybe put them at 5-4. Same thing if Oklahoma beats Nebraska. You know, we're looking at that overall record, and it shows you there. I think there's going to be a lot of parity in the Big 12 this year. Baylor, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Texas. Those are the four teams that I'm looking at to really have a chance, have the best shot at getting to the Big 12 championship. But TCU is kind of that sleeper team that I think could surprise some people this year. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if TCU were to get in there. I think it's going to be out of these top five. But remember, Oklahoma State and Baylor, especially Baylor, they came out of nowhere last year. So we could perhaps see a team like West Virginia, not feeling great about them. Texas Tech with a new coach, they're interesting. They've got some talent on that roster. Who knows? Kansas State with Adrian Martinez coming over at quarterback. Perhaps they make a run. But it just feels like, I mean, if we can name the five contenders, these are your five. And even these top four, I think, with a little bit better of a shot to get to the Big 12 championship. So those are the projected records for every Big 12 team. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, our predictions coming up very soon. Give me your thoughts on the Big 12. What do you think the records are going to look like? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.